What's up, guys? This is Andrew. Welcome to Hard Knock Crypto. Today on the show, we are talking all about cold storage wallets. What are they and why should you get one as soon as possible? All that coming up next.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hard Knock Crypto. I'm Lenny, and you are?
Andrew.
Hey Andrew, what's going on? How you doing today?
Man, doing great.
Oh man, listen, I'm so
Excited to be
excited. Me too. I'm excited. Today is a big day, with a lot of stuff happening in the crypto world. But before we get started, I want to say hello to everybody who's watching. Andrew and I are two people who we just enjoy crypto. Andrew's the expert. I'm kind of like the novice who's screwed around a lot and don't know much. Andrew's helped me quite a bit, and we started the show. What we're hoping is that anybody who's watching, you are going to enjoy it, get educated. You'll hear some of our opinions. But at the end of it, that you guys are going to be better off than where you started. So, Andrew, you want to break down how our show is structured?
Yeah, going forward, we're going to hit on just three key things. Something that we're learning because it's so important in your crypto journey to keep putting tools in your tool belt to learn about basics such as what is Bitcoin, what is crypto in general, what are wallets, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to go back through our older shows, we have a lot on just some basic things. And then we're going to talk about what's in the news. And we're also going to talk about some opinions we have, because who doesn't like to hear somebody's opinion, right? Especially a good looking guy like Lenny. So
yeah.
We are going to talk about those things. And I pretend to be an expert. I'm not an expert. I've just been around for about 4 years in this space, really enjoy it. Lenny is a little bit newer in it, but we're both just glad to be here. And we really do think this is a generational opportunity that we have. And you get to be a part of it. So welcome.
Super excited. So Andrew, that means you're a 4-year-old and I'm a 2-year-old. And we're walking through this together. And so I want to jump into the news part, if that's okay.
Let's hit
it. So if anybody's paying attention, Bitcoin just hit $41 per Bitcoin.
Right? Man, I wish it hit $41. $41,000.
Oh, sorry. That's right. You know what?
If it was $41, I would own nothing. I would be in like rags and so everybody because I would have thousands of Bitcoin.
Thank you for catching that. Yeah, 41,000. I think that was like wishful thinking on my part, because I'd be like, man, I would be buying a whole bunch of it right now.
Yeah,
exactly. It hit $41,000. Right, just add a few zeros to what I said. But that's exciting because you said in October, maybe it was mid-October, it was like 25,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean, what a huge jump. And for those people who are out there and who were able to take advantage of it, they're like super excited. Maybe they're outside giving each other hugs, as we were talking about earlier, right? Back in the day. So that's the big news, right? That's coming out as of today, December 4th. I mean, today's December 4th, right?
Yeah.
So what about you? Are you running outside giving people hugs because it's at 41,000 today?
No. It is exciting, and we've talked about it before, but it's Bitcoin runs in cycles, and we are at the beginning of one of those cycles. And it does, I was talking about earlier that it feels like when I got into the space, at about 6,000 to 7,000 a coin back in 2020 when all the markets fell, and started just putting a little in. And like any investments, you get excited when those investments go up. And so I remember that summer, it was really slow. And so it moved like every 6 weeks by like 1,000. And everybody was so excited that it would move from 7 to 8, and then it got up into 9. And it feels like that right now. Like it's moving 38, 39, 40, but it feels like we're in the lows. And so this bull market, according to cycles, should be like roaring in about the spring of 25, which is a year and a half from now. And so if it's at 41.5 right now, in 18 months, like not a price prediction, but if we're not in six figures, because we should be historically, I would just be shocked. I'm not sure how we can't be in six figures. So like I would prefer it being like 30 right now, or better, it was 25,
I would love it.
because it's exciting to see an investment go up. But
Right.
at the same time, if you want more of that investment, you don't want to see it go up. So like for big picture, yeah, that's cool that it's 41.6 right now, but it would be cooler if I could buy more of it at half. So what do you think? Are you excited?
So I am torn, right? So here's why I'm torn. I'm torn because I don't have enough in my mind.
Yes.
And so that is kind of like depressing. I don't have enough, but I'm also excited because I have some and it's
Yes.
going up. Now, I think,
Yes.
I think you rightly stated, the position that I feel, and I think you would agree, where kind of we need to position ourselves is that when it goes up, we should be super excited. And when it
Yeah.
comes down, we should be super
Even more
excited.
excited.
Exactly. Right? It's
And
one of
and
the
think about that. That's because this is not a get rich quick scheme. We're
correct.
not like, man, if it hits 50, if it hits 60, then I'm gonna sell out. No, it's gonna take a lot. And I don't have a number yet, but I'm always gonna have some. I'm
Right.
always want to have some. And that's a different allocation for everybody. But at some point, you do have to look at your life and say, if I could use a little bit for uh, whatever it is that you need it for, then when do you sell out? I think that would be an interesting topic to have.
Well, when that person decides that they want to sell a little bit, I hope I'm in a place where I'll say, I will buy it from you. Right. And
Yes.
right, because as you said,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
only 21 million. All right.
Yeah.
And so therefore, every time someone is saying, I will sell, someone is going to be there and say, well, then I will buy. All right. And they will
Yeah.
hold it.
Exactly.
I had someone
No.
ask me the question. They said, "Are you a trader or are you someone who is holding?" And I would say that for myself, my strategy is to buy and hold. I
Yeah.
just want to hold. I just want to buy it. I want to
Yeah.
hold it. Um, because, and remember, I think people are going to be different in how they are entering and what their strategies are. But for me, it's I want to be able to hold the asset. And then I want to be able to leverage the asset for other stuff rather than get rid of the asset and try to make, portion off of it. Like that's kind of like where I just feel comfortable where I'd like to be.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that people are going to have different ideas and different strategies, but um, I think that anybody at this point needs to be excited when it goes up and excited when it goes
Yeah.
down, right? And
Because and it's a savings technology. It's
right,
like, I think looking at it, yes, there's traders, but if we look at it almost like you're buying, and we've talked about this before, digital real estate, like if you think about my father-in-law is a farmer, and he often says he owns land, and he often says they're not making more of this, and it's a good investment because it's finite. Same way, this is the digital asset. There's never going to be another Bitcoin because it's the first,
right.
and it's recognized. And I think that's one of the exciting things about price going up, because like you and I have talked about, we have different ideas in the current crypto space. And the higher that price gets, the more legitimized when it becomes $1 trillion asset again, because its market cap currently is 800 billion. But when it's $1 trillion market cap, that's like, okay, Now you're starting. When it becomes a $2 trillion market cap, then the big boys start to be like, okay, we can recognize this space, it's legitimate. And then there's more opportunities than just, hey, the price went up, yay. But like, what are some picks and shovels idea of this market? What kind of companies can come about? What kind of things that nobody's thought about yet in that space, that because of the price going up, it's no longer just a side, oh, this is a cute project and maybe it's a bubble, maybe it's not. But when it's a big deal, then it can't be looked on as, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero. Like, no, nobody in the current, even traditional market probably thinks anymore. Maybe some people do, but most people don't think it's just going to go to zero anymore. And that was a thing even back in 2021. People were like, oh, like that's going to go to zero. It's nothing. It's not going to amount to anything. But the higher that price gets, it is a bummer for investing because you wish you bought more earlier.
Right.
But
Right.
it becomes like an asset where we can say, hey, we can recognize this. Like when the first bank says, actually, we'll use it for real estate, and you can get a mortgage with
Yep.
Bitcoin like as collateral. Then
Collateral.
it's like, woo! Then we're starting to be like, man, this is legit. So I
Yeah.
think it's exciting. I would love to see it lower so I could get a little more, but I'd like to see it get bigger because it's exciting to be in the space.
Now and just to piggyback on that, right? I will admit that I am not the smartest money guy, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay admitting that. There are other areas that I'm really smart at. Might not be one of those areas. Like I'm not BlackRock, right? And I'm not the guys who run BlackRock, and that's fine. I do not think that they invest in things that could go to zero. That's just
Right.
me. Like I don't think
Exactly.
that's not the business they're in, right? They're in the business of wealth generation, right? For
Mm-hmm.
themselves and for those who are their
Exactly.
clients, right? And so if they're about to go in significantly in right into this, I think it's safe to say we've hit like we're in a period where it's legitimized Bitcoin and that we should be looking at it seriously. Now, 10 years ago, people might have been like, oh, that's going to go to zero. That's just, throwing your money away. I don't think that
Years
that's
ago.
the, yeah, I don't think that's the place anymore. I don't even think that's the
Yeah.
conversation anymore. Right. And
No, not
so,
even close.
not even close. So I'm pretty excited. So that's the big news, one of the big pieces of news that have come out.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that we're putting all this money into Bitcoin, I think there are things that we probably need to be talking about in terms of like, what do we need to learn? Some new stuff, right? To help us take advantage of what are,
For sure.
clearly people putting money into, right?
Yep.
And so I thought that, and I know we talked about this, today might be a good day for us to talk about wallets.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable talking about these things, right? Because when I make money, when I buy stuff, I need to put it somewhere that I feel secure
Yeah.
about, right? And so
Yeah.
so maybe today's a good day for us to talk about wallets and specifically
Let's do
cold
it.
wallets, yeah? And
Yeah.
you have a couple. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you're like
I
the
mean,
wallet expert
I think
here.
it's important.
You
These
want
are
to
things
explain
that are a
it?
little bit complicated
Yeah.
because, and I do think that once wallets are understood more, or there's an easier way to do a wallet,
Hmm.
uh, then we're going to have a lot more mass adoption. But a lot of like smart things aren't always easy. And so if you're watching this, you need a cold wallet. I've seen people lose money on exchanges significant to them because they didn't have a cold wallet. They kept it on exchange. And so, Lenny, you have a cold wallet. I have a couple cold wallets here. What is yours called? And these are not promos. We're not getting paid for these. These are just like suggestions that two dudes grabbed because we saw them. So which one? What one is yours?
So I just traveled stateside to the United States and I got my hands on this one called EliPal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, EliPal. So,
Okay,
boom, EliPal.
EliPal.
Yeah.
Titan. Woo, that's a good word.
Yeah, the Titan Mini. And so listen, I'm on, Twitter and it keeps coming up. Like it was like
Yeah,
stalking me, right? And I was like,
yeah,
okay, well, let me go and let me get this. Now, I'm not anymore. I'm not like this high tech guy anymore. And so it does make you somewhat uncomfortable.
yeah,
But whatever crypto that I've bought, whatever Bitcoin I have, it's sitting on an exchange right now. And, we hear about hacks. I think I just read somewhere that this month, past month, was one of the highest number of losses in terms of hacks and money that's been lost in crypto.
yeah.
And not that I want to scare anybody. I think it was like $300 million or something like that.
Yeesh.
Hey, listen, banks get robbed. There are people who are calling and robbing old people through, the phone scams, and it
Yeah,
happens whether you have cash, credit card, or whatever. It's happening to people. So I don't think that we should be surprised that in the crypto world that could happen.
yeah,
But I was like, man, I need to do something to secure it. If I'm talking about, what we're talking about in terms of like, investing in wealth, building wealth and securing it, right? So I was like, man, I got to get
yeah,
one of these, right? And so I
yeah.
did. So I got the Ellie Pal Titan Mini.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you kind of a dumb reason why besides the fact that they were stalking me on Twitter, but um, it's got like a touchscreen thing happening, and I
I
was
mean,
like, man,
sweet.
that's pretty
I
sweet,
like that.
right? Yeah, I
That's
was like,
cool.
man, kind of pretty, and small.
So have you
So
got it set up yet?
no, it's not.
Oh,
Yeah,
have you
because I thought
unboxed
like,
it? Have you looked at
well,
it?
I literally just took the plastic off of it like 5 minutes before our
Woo!
call, right?
Pull it
So
out. I want to see it.
yeah, okay, here
Look
we
at this.
go.
Isn't
Oh
everybody,
my
this is
gosh.
like the
Oh
best
my God.
YouTube unboxing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, it's the slowest for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, man, check this out. I'm like,
Nice.
yeah, it's
Does it
like,
turn on? I want to see what the screen looks like.
all right, man, hold on 1 second. I probably should have read how do you do this thing? Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. Um, and yeah, look, can you see that?
Oh, I like that. That's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah, so this is
So
yeah.
can all the crypto be stored on that? What is it?
Absolutely. I could, I mean,
Sweet.
I don't necessarily have, I mean, I'd have to go through the setup and everything, but you
Yeah.
can, yeah, it is, according to them, they are the leader of air gapped cold wallet.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what that means? Air gapped?
Yeah.
Can you
Air
explain
gap
that?
means that it's totally off online, that it's stored outside, that your passcode, which your keys are yours and they're not on the internet, which is the biggest deal. Remember this, and I'm sure you remember, Lenny, but your crypto is not stored on that. It's stored on the blockchain, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And so what is being held by your wallet is your keys. And a good thing to think of this is a wallet or is a bank account. So your bank account, your personal crypto bank account is the passcode is being stored on that wallet. And the only way that that can be accessed is if you put in the passcode. If you ever wanted to restore that, you have your seed phrase, which is the biggest deal. And it's
Eh,
always important to remember, like a lot of this, it like we can know it in our head, and until you're actually doing it and putting it in place, like putting your money where your mouth is, you can know it knowledgeably, but until you're like interacting with it, it can be really confusing. And I'll just take for example, I have this Ledger Nano that I bought back in 2020, and I've used for my crypto needs, and I use for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I haven't actually. I've sent from it and sent to it, but I never restored from a seed phrase until because I never needed to. And then so in my head, I knew how to do that, restore with the seed phrase, because your seed is the either 12 or 24 words that come with any wallet. You cannot show those to anybody. If somebody gets access to that, they could restore your seed phrase onto any key. And so this one is also air gap. This is stored offline. But I got this cool other one, and it's called a Tangem wallet.
That
And it's
one
just
looks
a card.
so cool. That's
It
the
is
one.
sweet.
I saw that
But the
after you showed, like the other day. I was like, "Oh man, I got this," and you're like, "Well, I got this one." I was like, "Ugh,
yours is cool
that's
too.
I don't know about that. Not
This
as
is a
cool as
totally
yours."
different one though. And I like it's a little bit different because it's set up, Tangem set them up to not have a seed phrase. And that is like blasphemy to tons of crypto nerds everywhere, because the seed phrase is that 12 digit, or excuse me, 12 to 24 word phrase where you could
Right.
restore it anywhere. But these, there's up to 3 of them, and there is no seed phrase. It's just everything. It's like a secret seed phrase inside of it.
Okay.
And it's used, you get your phone out, and I can use this as it's like an NFC chip that's baked into there.
Okay.
And so it's cool because you don't have to memorize the seed phrase or write it down. But if you lose the card or the 3 that came with mine, you're screwed. So there's always some risk at play in this crypto game, because we don't have like, the bank is not going to come in and be like, hey, Lenny, we know you forgot your seed phrase. Here's the backup. Or, hey, Andrew, you have your Tangem card and it got destroyed. Here's the backup.
Hmm.
So like we can fight against fiat and be like, screw fiat. They can print it, whatever, etc. The banks are trying to rob us, but they also do have your back a little bit, because if you screw up, you're screwed. Like, you set up your wallet, you get your seed phrase, and you better not lose that, or you better not forget it, because if you do, you're hosed. And so there's a lot of responsibility in this whole deal. That's like, yeah, screw the government. We're like, we're going to take control of our own deal. And I like that about it. I want to control my own destiny, but at the same time, you better have a plan. What are you going to do with your seed phrase? Are you going to trust anybody with it? Do you have a place where, probably don't want to store that seed phrase online, because even if you keep it in your notes on your Mac, or if you keep it in like secure note, I mean, can somebody still get into that? Probably. So do you like, I know some people have taken
Well,
metal and printed it out and dug it in the backyard. Like, could do that. But
so
there's a lot of options that you can do.
thank you for stating don't put it in notes. Soon after this call, I will be deleting my notes.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but at the same time, that kind of thing can, like, there's smarter people than you and me in the world, right? Would
Absolutely.
you agree with that? Yeah. And
100%.
so,
Just on this call.
and yeah, and there can be stuff where if you make a mistake in crypto, it can cost you everything. And for some
Yes.
people, that might mean a couple $100, and that sucks. For some people, that might be like a couple $1,000,000. And if
Right.
you say, oops, maybe your life is ruined because you said, oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. Like, there is not somebody going to come save you. And so
This
you
is
better
true.
triple check what you're doing. You better think through it before you actually do it. If you need to ask somebody a question, do it before. And for me, like, I need to re-say that multiple times, because I'm a guy that learns by doing. And usually I do it wrong the first time, and then I'll fix it. If I do it wrong in crypto the first time, and I send if I send $10,000 to the wrong address and be like, oh no, I missed a letter on that. Well, it sucks to be you, pal. That costs you $10,000, let alone
Uh,
if it was more than that.
Andrew, I'd be more than happy to receive that. If you want to accidentally send me 10 grand, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, more than
But
happy to do that.
I do think it's really important. I love cold wallets. I think you need to have a cold wallet. rather than keeping it on Coinbase or FTX or whatever it was, because as we've seen in the last couple of years, that's going to be gone.
I
But
think
you have to
that,
be so careful that you realize the gravity to what you're doing with a cold wallet, where it's up to you.
yeah, now I think that it is important to point out, right? That I've seen people getting, I just actually recently heard of someone getting hacked, and I think it was like $100 million or something like that. Right. And I thought to myself, man, if that happened to me, I would die. Like literally, I would die. I think I might just right now drop dead. Right.
Sure.
Um, however, obviously, I think that you have to recognize where are you in your journey in terms of your right, and where and for someone, maybe $100 million is not a big deal, right? And they're like, I can make it back. But for somebody, it might be $10,000,
Sure.
right? And you have to, as you said, think about it, all right, and have an effective strategy to secure it. So I think that this is why these are really important, because this is way more secure than some of the other options. But I
Hmm.
think that people also have to recognize that it is like any other, right, investment or financial tool that you have, right? So if I have a wallet and I have $10,000 in it, I can
Yeah.
lose it, right? I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
figure out how to secure it. If I
Yeah.
have a debit card and I go to the ATM and someone gets my PIN and they're able to figure out, like, they can steal money from me there, and we know
Yeah.
that it happens. I mean, there are people, there are systems and there are people who are working on this today in all areas. So it's
Hmm.
not like this is the only area that you have to worry about, or this is the only one that's not secure. No, it just means that you need to take those steps to secure whatever your
Yes.
investment is, right? And so,
Yes.
um, like anything else, and that just takes a little bit of education, right? And hopefully
Yeah.
today we're like, you talked about the two that you have and the one that I have. I would love maybe
Yeah.
next time I would have actually used it and it would be on
Yeah.
here. Maybe that's
No,
what
I
the
think we should do that for sure. And like, here's quick tips on if you're going to set up a cold wallet. Number one, make sure you secure your seed phrase.
right.
Number two, send a test transaction before you send a big amount. So, like, make sure it actually works. The best way to learn anything is by actually doing it. And so, if you send, let's say, let's say you have one Bitcoin. You're Joe Blow. You have one Bitcoin, which is today worth 41,600. Probably shouldn't send one Bitcoin
To
to the
Lenny,
new
please
address,
send it to Lenny,
and you're
please.
like, oh yeah, I sent my Bitcoin. Like, first send like 100 sats,
Right.
which is like a few cents, right? Test it out. And you may be like, oh man, that's going to cost me money, because every time you send a transaction over a blockchain, there's a fee that goes with that. Guess what? Your fee of maybe $1 or whatever it is worth sending a couple of those to make sure you feel comfortable with that, that you make sure that you're in that space where you're like, okay, now I can send half a Bitcoin. Now I can send a tenth of a Bitcoin. Because I'd rather practice a few times, even if it costs me a little bit, than lose my entire transaction because I was trying to save a little bit. So get that seed phrase, send some test transactions, and then look at how you can maintain that.
Mhm.
How can you secure that seed phrase if you have something like a Tangem card? Uh, where are you going to secure that? Are you going to put that in a bank vault? I don't know, maybe. Are you going to bury it in the backyard? I don't know, maybe. But you should have a, how can you secure your cold wallet uh, keys to that?
Now it's interesting. The LEPAL, when it's part of the setup, it will generate the seed phrase for you,
Right.
right, as you're
Yeah.
setting it up, and they give you this little card
Yeah.
where you can write it down, right? And you
Yeah.
take this card and I don't know, you laminate it or you do whatever.
Yeah.
Give it to your wife who holds on to stuff and knows exactly where you can find it. If
There
you're
you
a
go.
husband, many of you know, you usually can't find anything. Um,
Yeah.
and so at least my wife will say that about me. Would you suggest even purchasing a little bit of an altcoin that's not worth a lot, and then you could practice using that. Don't practice on your
Hmm.
Bitcoin. Practice on
That's
some
a good
sort of
idea.
altcoin, like I don't know, what can you get for cheap, like Doge or something.
Even, yeah, or even like just your standard, what am I trying to think of? Our US dollar coin.
Yeah,
Stable coin.
a stable coin.
Stable coin.
Yeah,
You practice the stable coin. I do think though, like whenever if you're going to use, you're securing your Bitcoin, use just a little bit, because then you can see, okay, that wallet actually worked. That
right.
address went to my wallet. Everything is good. Yeah.
And
So
most
I'm
of
excited
these
to hear what you have, how yours works next time, and
now,
we'll
I
see if it
think
did work.
now the other thing I would also add is that, for example, this particular one that I'm using, it can hold up to 10,000 coins and tokens, right, that it can
That's great.
support, which means that, I mean, I would love to say that I fill it up, but more than likely, I may not, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. You pick your
And
pockets.
so this will probably last me for a little bit. Now, the other thing that
Yeah.
I've also started to kind of process in my head, it's like, what do I don't know where else you process, but I'm pro what does it look like for my children? So I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
started to think about it and I said, well, maybe I need to get 5 of these and then start
Yeah.
investing for them and then putting it on one for each and then teaching them how to use it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have like a 19-year-old who just started working and is saving up. And I said, well, maybe a portion of that you should be buying some crypto, right? And
Yeah.
using that as a, so we're having those kind of conversations today
Yeah.
um,
No,
with our
exactly.
children because what we're doing today, they are actually the generation
Yeah.
after who are going to be living it, right, in a
Yeah,
very
exactly.
normal way. So maybe it's something for you to think about as you
Yeah,
are moving forward. So anyway,
exactly.
so that's hopefully something new that everybody was introduced to, right? And then,
Yeah.
having talked about the new stuff, what's your opinion? I'd love to share an opinion. What for
Yeah.
you as we're closing out 2023? 2023, what's your opinion about what people should be considering and doing in this last 26 days of the year? Maybe that's the way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Let's think about that.
Yeah. What would be my opinion? I think you need to get in now. Like
Uh-huh.
if you haven't staked out what you want for, let's say, the next 2 years, uh, you need to get in. And if that's Bitcoin, if that's ETH, whatever that space is, I mean, it's just a really good time right now to get into this space. We always say, yeah, I wish I would have got in earlier. Yeah, that's true, but you're here now. And what can you do, whether it's investing or if you want to start getting into projects of just different type of cryptos, or what could you do in this space over the next couple of years? And I I think crypto is in such a cool, almost uh, land grab style of makes me think of the early American West, where it's like, hey, let's go, let's stake out what we're gonna do, let's start building stuff. And it's just like the digital space of what it was a couple hundred years ago in the US. And I'm excited to be on this journey with you, Lenny, and anybody else that's with us. And I think the most important thing is to just start. You may be like, oh, I've only got X amount, I wish I had more. You just start, practice with a little bit, go to cold wallet, get familiar with it, be able to explain it to somebody else. Even if you're using a hot wallet like a blue wallet or any app, just send it back and forth. And if you can be familiar and comfortable, I think that is the most important thing in this space. If you can talk about it a little bit and be comfortable actually using the technology, because there's something about knowing a little bit about it, but until you actually maybe send some Bitcoin to yourself or whatever it is, I think it's important to put some actions to your words. So what do you think? What would be your opinion your suggestion to anybody until the end of the year.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you 100%. I think that the next 26 days, if I was just watching this episode, for example, for the first time, I would try to learn as much as I could in these days because I think that we are, as you said, we're in that period right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that we have to leave behind this idea of like it's going to zero and recognize that we're about to step into a brave new world. Like this is
Yeah.
that first, not even first, we're probably like the third step into it. Like we were already kind of moved forward quite a bit, and I would hate to see people left behind. So therefore, I mean, very quickly, I would say go back and watch some of our episodes that kind of builds up to it. In the last 30 days, maybe even less, I sold, like I had Ethereum and I had a lot of other, I had altcoins and stuff, and I sold all of it. And I
Mm.
went 100% into Bitcoin because I felt that, or at least I feel that in the future, I could come back to the other ones, right?
Mm.
They haven't they haven't got to a place where I can't still take advantage of, right?
Mm.
Um, Whereas there might come a point with Bitcoin where I lose, I hit a point where I just can't, right?
Yeah.
And I can't take those big leaps. So if there's a moment in time where you say, I'm going to move my chips in for Bitcoin, like this is it.
Yeah.
And then, I think Ethereum's at like 2000 or something like that today. Like I can do 2000,
Yeah.
right? In 2024, if it goes to 4,000, where at one point it was at 4K, I could
Right.
say I could still do that.
Yeah.
Can I do Bitcoin at 60, 75,
Mm-hmm.
100? That's going to be a little bit more challenging for like the
Yeah.
regular guy. Like we're not
Yeah.
Michael Saylor, right? Who's going to be like, buying a ton of Bitcoin, but that's not us.
Yeah.
So I would say in these coming days to think about it that way. Educate yourself, start to make the move, learn about it, and try out those transactions, right? Just small
Yeah.
ones, just to get
Get
yourself
familiar.
comfortable with it. So yeah, I agree with you. This is that time to jump into it and just to kind of educate yourself and take some small steps that will prepare you
Yeah.
for, I think, what next year is going to be a really big year,
Really big.
really big.
Huge.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's
Sweet.
yeah, really good stuff, right? So today, really quick, today we touched on three things, right? We touched on news of Bitcoin hitting a high that we haven't seen since 2021. We touched on cold wallets today, right? Super excited about. Okay. And that's something new. And then, of course, educate yourself. That's our opinion, right? Learn as much as you can.
Educate yourself.
Yeah, and so those are really three, I think, wonderful takeaways for today's episode. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Andrew, any final thoughts?
That's it, man. Get
Yeah,
some
same.
Bitcoin. Get out of my way. We're good.
Exactly. Anyway, we hope everybody had a great time. Yeah, listen, we were happy. Hopefully, everybody had. If you joined us, had a great time. Hope you learned something. Look forward to you spending some time with us again next week. All right. Have a good day.
Peace out.
Take care.